Hello and welcome back to the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. This is Penny Sansevieri with my ever awesome co-host, Amy Cornell. And this show idea actually it came from some of the authors that we work with and some of the things that we've seen, but it's also something that I've done on my own books. And Amy, do you want to introduce the topic? Because I know you're the one that we were in the green room and brainstorming, and you were all over this. So,
yeah, we see it a lot, like you said, Penny. And what we want to get into today is talking about using a consistent author name when you're publishing. And even more specific than that, because it matters on Amazon, the formatting of your name and little details like initials, and we'll go into more examples and things like that. But we've worked with a lot of clients, and then a lot of authors have come to us and we've talked about this before on the show, when authors come to us, potentially work with us, I always check out their currently published work. If they've published before, I check out their Amazon pages, try to get to know their brand and their situation a little bit. And when I see it, I always mention it, because if anything, we are very transparent whenever we feel like we can offer authors some recommendations that can enhance what they're already doing. I try to say, to let authors know when I see something that's could be an easy fix or something that's big enough to start working on. I let authors know that even before we're working together, because if they can get stuff like that in order, it just makes our work better. You know what I mean? It's good for everybody. But yeah, the consistent author name and what not following a consistent format for your author name when you publish subsequent books, all the challenges you can run into. A lot of authors don't realize how complex it can get.
well, and it's interesting because we don't. So as I alluded to at the start of the show, this has happened to me, and it's happened to me with my middle initial. So if I am Penny Sansevieri, I am not Penny C. Sansevieri. And the issue with that, and it's funny because I taught this Amazon masterclass for IBPA a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about this. It's a big issue, and having having an initial sometimes appear, not always, or if your first name is sometimes spelled, in full or abbreviated. I mean, Amazon does not have the ability to see that, oh, Penny just forgot her middle initial, but these are the same. This is the same author. Like, they have no ability to do that. And that's a problem. And I found this. So, ironically, I found this out, I don't know, I think this was 4 editions ago of How to Sell Books by the Truckload before we renamed it the Amazon Author Formula. And then when I uploaded From Book to Bestseller, I forgot my middle initial. And this was 2020, late 2022, I guess, on the print version, but I had it on the ebook version. And Amazon will let you go. They'll let you go in and edit the ebook version as much as you want, but for whatever reason, you cannot touch the print version anymore. So some of this stuff, I always tell people, you can't really break Amazon, but some of this stuff really cannot be undone.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some authors. Amy, do you want to talk about the authors who were collaborating on a book, and that was what a mess that was for them?
Oh yeah, they co-authors, and honestly, they've had multiple iterations and it's a nonfiction book, and it's been very popular. Every edition they've released has been really popular, and it's been around for a while, and they've been really great about updating their brand and keeping it current. But they both have quite a few professional certifications, degrees, things like that are relevant to the topics that they cover. And I can tell you that over the years, as they've had different organizations, different groups help them publish these books and bring them to market, that was one of the oversights, is that each of their editions have not followed a consistent format to include all of their professional certifications and degrees in the same way each and every time. So for them, it was kind of a mess, because they've got this book many times over with great reviews and things like that. And it looks really great for their brand. But unfortunately, because of the formatting of their author names, they can't link them all together to look like a cohesive history of, publishing under this topic. you really have to find the books individually on Amazon, which is never ideal. So that is one of those things that, like you said, Penny, it could be as simple as an initial. Definitely be very careful if you use any professional certifications or degrees. I mean, Penny, I think we've even seen it before, and I want to say we've had a client or two where one book, and usually again, it's oftentimes, believe it or not often is it the author themselves in many cases. It's because they use different groups to publish different books. And so, you know what I mean? It's kind of like your left hand not talking to your right hand. You know, these different groups aren't tracking that a lot of times. So we've had authors too where doctor was spelled out, but in another title that they released, it's, you know, DR, you know, so that's another one that you wouldn't think like, okay, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Clearly I'm Dr. So-and-so, no matter how you spell doctor. But to your point, Penny, Amazon sees them as two entirely different authors because they're not formatted the same way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I talked to an author yesterday who had, I want to say he had 8 books, but the PhD.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Yes.
Did not always follow all of the books. And Amazon literally could not, because he asked me, he said, you know, I know this is a problem. Like you can't, so, you know, I mean, you can't combine them on your author central page. The book just kind of sits out there with no real home.
Yes. And
I mean,
sorry, Penny. I was going to say, and sometimes I feel bad when authors, like their one book that really is sometimes it's the one that's doing the best for them in terms of exposure, reviews, things like that, ends up being the oddball child that's not linked to all their other work. And it's so sad.
Well, it just doesn't, you know, not only is it frustrating, but it just doesn't it's not really great for your brand.
Right.
It's not great for your brand. It's problematic. And I don't know that, you know, I don't think that Amazon is going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out a solution for this. I think it's just anybody who is listening to this, like, oh my gosh, this has happened to me. There is no easy solution. I mean, you in many cases, like I was saying, you can't go back and change it and add your initial or add your professional accreditations or whatever. I mean, it's just done is done. So just be careful when you're working with a publisher or uploading a book, because this is one bell that you cannot unring, unfortunately.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And the one last note that I had, because I know we've talked a lot about, which may resonate more with nonfiction, but we also see this being a problematic for people that write a series, Penny. You know, so they start their series a certain way, and then subsequent books are not published under the exact same author format.
Yes.
And yes. So in addition, you mentioned Author Central, which I think is a big one, because Author Central, you kind of have to think of that as your kind of retail storefront on Amazon, where all of your work can live, that people can see everything that you've produced to date. But you also, if you write in a series, if your author name is not consistent, you're not going to be able to create one of those super cool series pages that are also really great for branding. We love to use the series page when we're promoting authors with a series, because again, it's just a really nice looking page that shows all the books produced in the series to date. It's great for promos. It's great for a lot of things, but that's another thing that'll be off the table if you write fiction and plan to write a series. If you're not careful about using a consistent author name, you're not going to be able to create one of those series pages either.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we mentioned this, even just a short, you know, a shorter show, a little bit of a PSA, but it's definitely something to be aware of as you continue to publish on Amazon. And we are going to be doing, I think, a couple more Amazon deep dives in the very near future. So we hope that you will continue to tune in and let us know if you have podcast ideas or what you think of the show. And as ever, we love share the show with somebody that you think would benefit by it. Hit that share button and share the show. And we'd love a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.